Most businesses you're going to work with are going to suck.
Knowing where things are and when to expect them is just so important.
Well, most other customers don't want to know, so we just don't tell you. Hit deadlines that you've promised. If you promise a deadline, if you promise to communicate, do it. Do this and you will win. All right, most businesses you're going to work with are going to suck. And it is a harsh reality of life. And I found this out more and more as I get older and more, wiser and know what or have higher expectations. They usually fall into common traps that ultimately create subpar experiences that leave customers not wanting to come back and probably as haters, which is way worse than raving fans because haters tend to talk a lot more than fans do. And we're busy building ClipFlow and are trying our best to avoid these traps. So come along as we discuss them. Dazza, what are your pet peeves about businesses that you work with? What's just off the top of your head? What's number one?
What's my least favorite thing about working with other businesses? Transparency, not knowing what's happening. That would be the absolute worst one. Is like it's very easy to overvalue what your product or service doesn't matter if the customer doesn't know what's going on. This was like the biggest standout with everyone's talked about it, like why Uber was so effective was because you could see where the car was. You could see how far away it was. That is one of the most important things. And I think it was like key to how they were able to just absolutely topple taxis. That's sort of irrelevant. The communication of knowing where things are and when to expect them is just so important because it just takes that like the uncertainty away, especially if you're spending a lot of money for something like a high ticket service. You want to know that things are happening.
Mate, you said transparency, and what does transparency boil down to is usually communication. I cannot stress how annoyed I get by this one thing. It's such a simple thing. And for me, like we always talk about like establishing expectations. And like whenever I start working with someone, I'm like, hey guys, I really value communication. And when people communicate to me, I say, hey, amazing. Thank you for that. Please keep doing that. But then what you see over time disappears and nothing happens. And I guess for me, why this comes up so much is I'm in the middle of a big build. I'm building a project and probably the worst industry I've ever been in for communication. You walk on site and someone's like, oh, hey, did you know about this? And I'm like, no, what are you talking about? And then they go, oh yeah, blah, 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 blah. And then you're like, I was not told that. And then there could be months where nothing's happening and you have to like pick up the phone yourself as a customer and say, hello, what's going on? Where are we up to? And then my favorite line is, well, most other customers don't want to know, so we just don't tell you.
But I've told you that I do want to know, so...
Also, I'm like, that's absolute BS. Because
Yeah.
I said that to my wife. I was like, hey, am I weird for wanting to know what's happening? Is that a weird X thing? Like, do people just not care? And I'm like, bro, I would argue that point that everyone wants to know. That problem being highlighted, and for me, it's such a source point. So I'm very passionate about communication. And I know that we sucked at it. Like we in our last business sucked at it because it was very difficult at scale and to drill it into people that you need to actually communicate. Because communication can solve a lot of problems prior. Like if someone knows that something's delayed, they're not going to get upset when it doesn't rock up on the day because they already knew about it.
So like warned in advance as well as a huge one, which is part of communication is like, here's what to expect in advance. This will happen, this won't happen. And this got really bad once we expected other people to sell the product who weren't founders. It was like the expectations weren't set correctly. And so like things would come up and really hurt us because it hadn't been said in advance that you should do, like, we're different in this way. You should do things this way. If that's said 3 months before someone makes a change, it's fine. If it's not, and you ask them to change after they've already made the commitment, that's all red alert. Everyone's pissed off.
So what communication does, as you can see that Darrell just said, is it actually establishes what's expectations, right? What's going to happen. That's a really good thing to communicate. Don't hide it in a contract, right? Expect someone to read an 80-page contract. Anything that's different in your business, communicate that up front because you're going to save a lot of pain. And guess what? Everyone's like, well, I'm right. That doesn't matter, right? Your client, everyone's like, the client's always right? That old fallacy. It's like, no, the client isn't always right, but you want them to be happy because you want them to feel like what they're paying you is a good thing and that at the end of the day, they become raving fans. That's the goal, right? Like I understand in a lot of industries like building, it's a one and done kind of thing. You build the house and you probably never see that person again, right? But you're being really short-sighted there because that client could be a raving fan telling every single other person who wants to build that you're the best builder in the whole world, right? Now, how do you solve this problem? Because we've talked about the pattern for a lot. So communication should be frequent and concise, right? So it's like tell things when they need to be told and said, but don't go and just create like this an essay. Just get the facts across quickly and do it in multiple mediums. So it could be a weekly update email. So this is a long running project, obviously. A weekly update email, like so if you're onboarding a customer that takes a long time. We're up to here. Develop systems that help you communicate. So if there are tools that you can use that like have a process checklist, and as those things are getting ticked off, the client can jump into a login and you've communicated this is how you do it, and they can see the progress. Just knowing that stuff's happening makes people feel comfortable. Like, oh, this week this all happened. Great. You don't have to even do manual communication, right? And then pick up the phone once in a while. Hey, just quickly, heads up. This is what we're working on. This is something that you might foresee coming.
Yep. And I think like in the case of your builders, they might say that people don't want those updates, but it's probably they don't want to be interrupted about their day. If you're giving it to them, like all of being frequent and concise and delivering it in multiple mediums solves all of those problems, because no one is going to get annoyed if they get a weekly email that they don't have to read. No one's going to get annoyed if they get a voicemail that they don't have to respond to. Just like, this isn't something you need to respond to. Just wanted to update you. These are the things that are happening. No one's going to hate that because they can just ignore it, and it'll be worth so much more money than spending hundreds of thousands of dollars on marketing, hiring marketing coordinators, all of these things, because that one person being a trumpet for you should use these people will get you way more money for way less money. And I think the problem is people hire people to be good at their jobs, whether that's a designer, architect, builder. You're meant to be good at that thing, not specifically communication. So it falls back on the business to enforce the communication rules, unless you're hiring someone whose sole job it is to improve communication, which I don't really see many job roles around like operations communications, but there probably should be.
Yeah. And I want to just highlight one example of a person who does this that I'm working with. And it's a literal beacon, because you can be like, this person, they're more expensive. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not even going to get another quote because I want to reward this type of behavior. It's like, hey, calls you on a Sunday. Hey, just giving you a quick up, like, are you free to chat? Just giving you an update on this quote that I'm going to do for you, and delivers on time. Now, from there, Darrell kind of touched on it, and it's about your team, right? So you want to build a team that can execute. So a lot of businesses that suck don't have teams that can execute. They always have to throw it up to someone else. Like, oh, actually, that's not my responsibility. Rather than, oh, hey, I don't have the answer for that. I will find that out for you and get back, right? That's a team that can execute. It's an environment where they can actually, where you need to create the environment that fosters ownership of things. So if there's a problem, I can take ownership of that and I can solve it. I have the resources and the authority to solve it. Now, rather than following process, because a lot of businesses, especially with the support team, and I just went through the most feral experience with a different company, again, related to building, about where you get passed onto a support team and it's literally like talking to a robot, but it's a human being. Because they're following the process.
I can check my own checklist. Thanks, mate. User did this, did this, did this.
I lost it. It's about they're sending a delivery to a site where there is nowhere to put anything. And I was like, you can't send it. And they're like, well, it's already sent. And I was like, well, just fix it, because it can't go there. And I was literally getting the same email back 4 times from a human being. And you're like, nah. So you need to create a team that can actually step outside the box, figure out, and then solve the problems, because that is what business is. It's solving problems constantly. So Darrell, what do you have to add about the team?
I guess a couple of ways of doing that is not solving everyone in your team's problems when they come to you with problems, and providing the environment where they have to solve the problem for themselves. So don't give answers, even though you know them. Give the context of why you might make a decision and let them arrive at their own decision. And then don't negatively reinforce when someone does something because it doesn't fit what you would have done. Is like, say, for example, there was a mistake with a customer. You want to give the people the ownership of the business to go and fix something. They go and fix something. It cost you more than you would have spent to fix that thing. Don't come down hard on them for doing that. Just explain to them that that's like reasonably outside of what we would normally do. Next time I do this, but don't make them feel bad for taking ownership over the customer, and the mistakes of the business is a really important one.
And sometimes, you know what, like, even though we might put arbitrary numbers on what a value of a fix should cost, this is me. Like, I've made this mistake way too many times. Like, just like being, that costs too much money. And it's like, yeah, but over time, look, I was young. I was a lot younger. But I think over time, you understand that the lifetime value of a customer can far exceed what you're spending now. Like even if a
Yeah, and the lifetime value of the team member as well, because you've essentially you've paid for them to learn a lesson that they can be a better owner of the business moving forward as well.
The next problem is, man, this is another. They're all just so easy. People not delivering on what they say. We've all had
Mhm.
experience, right? So you get caught by some certain advertising, some promises that people have made up, and then you get the product or the service and it does not live up to the expectations. And sometimes this can be super high ticket. Like you're paying good money. And the problem with that is you have good expectations. And let's be honest, that they're all fair and people just do not deliver on them. How do you deliver on your promises? What are some simple ways to do so?
I mean, know what you can accomplish and don't promise things you can't accomplish is the easiest one. Don't promise to be able to forex trade and make $10,000 a day from your bedroom. That's step number one.
Me.
And then, yeah, it's hard once you've got a team. Make sure everyone is aware of the things that are said to people. So a lot of the time, once the team gets bigger, maybe the leader of the business or one of the team members will say something to a customer, and then it's not effectively communicated around. Like this one comes back to communication a lot, and also get ahead of it when you know that your promise is going to be broken. Address it before the customer does. Like bring it up and say like we're not going to make this deadline, whatever it is, because like that will happen. Obviously you try and set realistic deadlines as you're growing, changing, building a business. Sometimes things won't happen the way you said they would. Make sure you're the first one to notice it and the first one to address it. Explain to them clearly why and what the new expectation is.
Being able to deliver on your promise is quite simple fix because it is you just manage expectations in the beginning.
Yeah, like
Your
you
promise-
made it up. You made the promise up.
You made the promise up. So if you get to decide what the promise is. If you know you can't deliver on the promise, then don't promise it. Firstly, right? Like if I'm going to promise this great experience and I can't deliver it, I'm just lying, right? And then you don't deserve to have a business, okay?
Yeah.
That's just, and unfortunately people do this. Like, oh yeah, we'll have that all done in 2 weeks. It's like, brother, it's 2 weeks of public holiday in the next coming up. You're not going to have that done in 2 weeks. You just lied to me. So make sure you do that and go above and beyond. Do that. Like if you've promised something, go and do it. There are more hours in the day than just the 9 to 5, right? There's a lot of wiggle room here to achieve things and most things can be done. So if you've promised something, make sure you do it. Hit deadlines that you've promised. If you promise a deadline, if you promise to communicate, do it. It's very simple. If you make a promise, do it.
You do it. Yep. That just took me back to folding those A4 short edge brochures like 9 o'clock on a Thursday night because we had 2,500 to do before Friday. Yeah, because we promised we could do it.
We did it. So Darrell's referring to when you make a pamphlet, usually you can send it through a machine. It's automatic and it takes no time. And we had 25,000 and the client wanted them folded. So usually they come flat pack and then the client has to fold them as they deliver. But this client wanted them folded. So we literally had like 25,000 of them. We got the entire team out there manually folding because we said we could and we did it, right? We did it. But it's because we had to deliver on our promise. So again, moving straight from that, delivering on your promises is delivering a great experience. This is simple stuff that, like, if you just take 5 seconds to actually think about it, you can go above and beyond what people actually are expecting. So you've communicated something, you're like, oh, we're going to deliver in 4 weeks. But guess what? I delivered in 3. Or I delivered this, plus I gave you a little bit of an extra. You do the unscalable. Everyone's like, oh, well, that's not scalable. It's like, who cares? In the beginning, like, especially most businesses are small businesses. They can do these. They can go and do, oh, hey, we just chuck that in. But no one works like that. Everyone's like, oh, well, that's extra. That's extra. That little piece costs extra. I've had these problems as well. It's not in the contract. It's like, bro. Yeah. So you can there's a lot of small things you can do. And we're trying to do this all the time. It's like, how can we deliver a great experience? And like for us, it's like being on support as a founder. And like being on the call in the beginning. Like obviously you can't do this forever, but while you can, just do it. Like if it means you can jump in, and people can meet you and, they get that little bit of a touch, the golden touch. It just it leaves a nice taste in their mouth. That means that they will come back and report back. Because that's at the end of the day is referrals are king. If you can get heaps of referrals, your business will never run dry. And you can slowly keep ratcheting up your prices because you're delivering the premium service and everyone loves it. So why will they not pay?
Yeah. And you can manufacture that by not including things are part of your process in your promise as well. So just because you don't say, like, you don't have to say you're going to do everything that you're going to do. You could know that there's some things that you keep in your back pocket for those extra things. They're factored into your pricing. You can afford to do them. They're part of your process, but you use them as a surprising moment. Once the customer's in there, you go, we also did this, like, and make it feel to them like it's a thing you did just for them because it's not part of the offer as well.
Yes, very strategic. And you know what's funny? If you just in the today, you could literally deliver a great experience just by being a great communicator. You would already deliver a great experience without even doing anything crazy. It's just like, I'm going to communicate with my customer. Amazing. Like that, you've already won, especially in certain industries. So the next one is it's hard for the ego, but it's the taking responsibility for mistake. You see this a lot in, again, building's top of mind, so I'm going to be talking about it a lot. But you see people just throwing down the mistake kicking it down the road to the next contract. But in the end of the day, you hired a head builder. And realistically, I understand that it's hard to take responsibility because then you are liable for that. But if you, as a business, can take responsibility for your mistakes, a lot of things, good things can come out of mistakes. So if you can say, like, I'm so sorry that we did that, and you can fix it, and you don't just...
You've just delivered a great experience. Yeah.
You've just delivered a great experience. And you've also don't deliver to zero. So don't say, oh, I'll refund you the product. It's like, cool, I'm going to refund you and I'm going to do this. Because you need to get them past zero. You need to get them back into positive.
Mhm.
So doing this is tough and it hurts a lot. Like when you have to cop mistakes and spend heaps of money, like we did this also, especially when you don't have much money, it sucks. And you write off entire jobs. It's not fun, but you can turn it into a good experience. If, like, for us, like if a signboard, for instance, went up and it was wrong, even sometimes, like, yeah, we'd go out of our way. This is to deliver a great experience. If someone had made a typo on a mistake, like an office admin, you're like, cool, we'll same day print that, get installed, and then get it put up the day. You've just saved someone completely. And
Yeah. And that's like beyond taking responsibility for mistakes you've made. It's taking ownership of every part of the process, even if it's not your mistake. And then the only other thing I would add is, like, this is all the way up the chain of the business. So the person who interacts with the customer, yes, they should take ownership for the mistake, but also then the leader of the business, not to the customer, but they're taking ownership of the mistake in that it's like, it's something that we didn't do, so they didn't know to do it, sort of thing. So everyone should be taking responsibility the whole way up so that you can just, like, analyze it, fix it, move on for next time. Because if you just, like, blame someone else, you're going to say, like, not my problem. I'm not going to fix it for next time because it wasn't my responsibility.
Yeah, I love it. So yeah, we're not taking responsibility here up the chain to be like, oh, I'm so sorry. But it's more like, how do we, like, we're responsible for allowing the customer support or whoever to actually be enabled to do their job correctly, right? So how can we fix that? Or a process, can we do a process change to avoid that? And we did that all the time. We're like,
It's like, what are the circumstances? What happened? What do we need to change to make sure it doesn't happen again? And it doesn't have to be like an emotional, angry thing. It's just part of moving forward. And that's where responsibility comes in.
yeah, so we had that with brochures, right? Not getting delivered. That would happen a lot. So then what do? We had to, like, look at that, and that's our mistake.
Yeah, like improve the job sheets, improve the training for the team, improve all these things, and then it doesn't happen anymore.
Yeah, make it digital so that it's up to date. So if something gets added in, it's there. It's not, it's all dynamic, not printed, it's fixed. So just your things, if you accept responsibility, you can actually improve your process and your business. And you won't do it again. It'll hurt because you're going to spend heaps of money, but you'll guarantee that you will not do that again. And then finally is just be flexible. I think most businesses are just fixated on being, this is the truth, this is the black and white, this is what we agreed on, and there's no flexibility here. It just creates a very disgusting experience, especially when you're working with contracts and people go like, that's not included in the scope. And you're like, okay, one, the customer's like, did you communicate that properly to me in the beginning? Probably not, because you, as an expert in your business or service, have different understandings of things than your customer. I think that's really key to understand. If someone comes to me as software, I have a completely different world in my head than some person who's never worked in software. So when I talk about scope and things that are included, I could be leaving things off that they don't even know about. And then I come and wreck them with variation. And this happens in building again. I think you need to be flexible. Like where you can do it and it's not going to cost you that much time or money, you should be flexible. Contracts are there to protect everyone in like a disagreement. But if you can be flexible, like, hey, look, this is how you handle it. Hey, look, I'm so sorry. That's actually not part of the contract or our agreement or our scope. But because obviously there's been a misunderstanding here, I'm willing to, do it. Usually cost 10. I'll do it for 7. And the person will be like, then it's like, oh, okay, cool. So it's not included, but they're actually giving me a discount, which I didn't need to do. You're delivering a great experience and you're being flexible and you're communicating it. And guess what? the person most likely will be like, cool, that's fine. But if you say, no, it's not in the contract, you're just being a tool.
Well, yeah, just saying no isn't providing a solution. And like anytime there's a disagreement on an agreement or a contract, it's an opportunity. Either there's an area of the service that you can improve, there's something you could be charging for and selling as a product that you weren't even aware of, and then there's the opportunity, like you said, to just quote for more work instead of saying like, no, we don't do that. Say, well, we could do that for X amount of money. Well, the business just found a new way of making money, as long as you are nice about it.
Yeah. And I think by just doing these very simple things, so communicating, building a team that can execute, delivering on your promises, delivering a great experience, taking responsibility for mistakes, and being flexible, you can establish a business that just absolutely dominates and kills everyone, because you are going to stand out. Trust me, you're going to stand out above and beyond every single other business. You're going to be able to charge a premium price, and people are going to ask you, why are you so much more expensive? Well, it's because we actually deliver. Here are all our reviews. Now, what I've noticed in a lot of companies is they don't have reviews. And why is that? Because the person probably left and said, they're not going to leave a negative because of like, I don't want to be, but I'm not going to leave.
Don't have anything nice to say, Dan.
I don't have anything nice to say, and I'm going to tell everyone to avoid you behind your back, and I'm never going to talk about, like, say, go and use.
Yeah.
Versus having a person who's like, holy crap, that was the best experience I've ever had with a person in this industry. Anytime someone mentions like, I'm doing a build, oh, guess what? Talk to this person. Oh, I'm doing this, go talk to that person. Because I am the person that will give you testimonials. If I believe in your product, I will tell everyone, right? I will go and get the coupon.
But like almost anyone will.
Yeah.
It's just the limit of how to get that person to really be amazed is different per person. But I don't know a single person who has a great experience that won't talk about that great experience. There's no one who's like, I keep my great experiences to myself. I don't like, because everyone wants to be valuable to other people. They have a good experience. They want to put that information there to help them so that like their input is valuable to that person.
100%, right? And this is key. And I think do this and you will win. All right. Okay. Catch you guys later.
See ya. And that's essentially the ClipFlow vision right there, the company handbook. We've just done it. Do all those things and you've got a job. You want a job? Come get a job. Work for ClipFlow. Play the ClipFlow employee jingle. Doop-a-doo-doo-doo-doo.